YouTube, what is up guys? It's time for your monthly tier list, yay! And you clearly see you got Twitch chat this time, so if you want to see me get sacked live on stream, come check me out on my Twitch. Links down below in the description. Shilling aside, here's what you are all here for, the monthly tier list. I guess I'll go over the tiers again. S are like the best decks, A are the good decks, and B is the tier for the decks for basically the stuff from the new set that I'm inclined to put in here just because I want it to be represented. So it's like the stuff from the new set that isn't amazing, pretty much. So I'll go over all the old decks first, just like usual. Tsukuyomi. This deck will never die. This deck actually just got better because this deck like hard counters Fish, and Fish is like really good. So yeah, Sook still does Sook things. It stacks their deck. You draw a bunch of shit and then you kill them with Tom. So yeah, Tom just like bullies all the fishes. If the fishes draw like 4 PGs a game, it's fine. Tom just ignores all of them. So yeah. Yeah, Sook still a very good deck, still very powerful. It's still very competitive in tournaments. Next up, we got Thoughts, Silverthorns, whatever you want to fucking call them. It's definitely still here. I still think it's a pretty good deck. Yeah, I guess you never actually do see it. I don't expect people to bring it to any tournaments either, so I guess I would put it under here. I still think that deck's really good. Like, it still has the best CV1 to convert damage with Marichika and into Zelma and the items and stuff, so... not Fish, holy shit, Thoughts are still a really good deck. Thoughts do thought things even with the nerfs, so yeah. Thoughts still really good. I'll skip all the old decks for now, or the new decks for now. Riser's still a pretty good deck. It crits you and then it multi-attacks. You have option if you are scared of retire now. You have the option of Tank Riser. The deck still has a bunch of free pluses with stuff like Street Bouncer and Trans Riser. Big scary crit Vanguard still pretty cool. And then again you end the game with the Drill Wing that lets you get like 3 attacks to face, which is really nice. Just an overall like solid deck. It does okay things. The deck will and can kill you, so yeah, pretty good deck. Still pretty solid, but you don't see it very often, so this is why it is here. And I don't expect people to bring this tournament either, because it's the better things to play. Speaking of having better things to play, you have Brawlers. Yeah, this deck, again, still suffers from the same issues as all the other Narukami decks usually do. They don't draw cards for shit. You can kill them very fast, but if you don't have cards to kill them, what's the point of being able to kill them? So yeah, like, can't draw cards for shit, can't live for shit. If they survive, you're probably very dead. Very high roll. The reward is there, but I don't think it is. I don't think the reward is as high as some of the other like more high rolly decks. So yeah, I definitely don't think this deck is very good anymore. I didn't think this deck was very good to begin with. So yeah, not very good in my opinion. Regalia. Behind Thoughts. Again, this deck, I had a very high opinion of it before, but now I think the deck just doesn't keep up as much anymore. It's nice that you have the chamomile to help you like put out extra intercepts, but sometimes like sometimes you're just short like 1 soul to end the game, or like you just don't see triggers and you can't like re-legion because you are gonna play stuff like Cider to refill your soul with good cards, but Cider also means you're not putting cards into the drop zone to legion, so there are gonna be awkward issues like that. Also, doesn't help that the deck is forced to try to kill from 4, so if the opponent heals out from 4 to 3, you're forced to sandbag 1 more turn before you can go for a game, which is actually a very big issue in a format like Legion where triggers go back to deck. You can heal and then put all the heals back into the deck, and then suddenly you can't kill them anymore. So yeah, I will say the biggest issue with the deck is the fact that the deck has to try to kill from 4. If you're not at 4, you can't attempt to lethal at all whatsoever, which is definitely a problem. Other than that, the deck is very solid. You have the cheapest back row retire in the game with the Hesperides. You have many ways to get the soul with the Hemira and the Shiny Angel, stuff like that, but again, the issue of not being able to kill from 3 is a very big issue. Or not being able to attempt to kill from 3 is a very big issue, so yeah. Ezel. I'll put Ezel at the very back here, I don't even want to put Ezel here to be perfect. I honestly want to just kick Ezel off the list, but Ezel still has the niche of completely dunking on Link Joker, which did get support this set, meaning this deck is playable in this meta. Because if you see Link Joker, this deck is still like claps them up, easy fucking claps with this deck with against Link Joker. So it's still good for that. Having a big crit scary Vanguard is also still an okay thing while also vomiting out intercepts, but this deck doesn't have any legions at all whatsoever, so that is an issue. Other decks will outgrind you like that. So yeah, it's here because it can play really well into Link Joker, which is somewhat popular, and you will see people play. So other than that, this deck is probably going to fall off sooner or later. So yeah. Although it is nice that this deck is a limit break deck that doesn't need break or anything, you just play pings to enable your gameplay anyways, so there is that going for it. It's not stopped by anything, you're not gated by cards and draw for Legion, you're not gated by limit break at all, pretty much, so it is nice for the niche that this deck can just do gameplay at pretty much any given point, so yeah. And then the 3 Paladins, I'll go over the one I hate the most first, Seekers. I still think it's up here in S tier. Deck is still very good. Ghetto heal trigger the deck. So yeah, Thing Savers, pretty okay finisher. Wingull is very good value for a card. Infinite Blaster Blades, Gancelot, like not really much else to say. This deck is just the best way to put it is that this deck is very good at abusing Legion or abusing game mechanics. This deck isn't. If you just read all the cards are like whatever. Honestly speaking, like call a card, retire a card, restand once. It's like those are all like okay effects, but this deck is honestly good because it's very good at abusing game mechanics. You're abusing Legion, putting triggers back. You're abusing Gancelot, putting infinite heal triggers back in your deck. So yeah, like this deck is good because it's very good at seeing heal triggers, pretty much. And it has ways to push damage. So yeah, good for those reasons. Revengers definitely still up here. Oh yeah, I guess the one thing to note about Seekers is that they don't inherently have a way to play around Link Joker. They don't have an inherent play around Locke. The only built-in way that deck can do it is by putting file into the front row and swing with it, and not putting something else in the other column. That's one way to do it. But Link Joker isn't exactly the most popular deck right now, nor is it the strongest deck right now. So that's not the biggest issue. But if this deck really needed to play around Link Joker, they could tech in unlockers if they really needed to. So just something to note, they have the option to tech against it, but they don't need to right now just because it's not that popular. Avengers, I think it's probably better than Seeker, just because they do have inherent ways to play. Like on my last tier list, I put these two as joint best decks. The power levels just haven't changed, so they didn't get any support to set, but the difference here is that Revengers play better into other decks. More specifically, like they play better in Link Joker in specific. They have better kill pressure, and that's pretty much it. And Mordred's just a really good card, as well as that. So yeah, they're slightly better than Seeker right now, in my opinion, just because they play better into Link Joker, and the deck itself is just all around really solid. Mordred gets you a bunch of cards, Blaster lets you retire, and main lets you draw cards, full draw for Legion as well. Dredge Bow's a pretty cool starter. You know, like this deck is just really good at doing things. So yeah. Also, being able to clear the board is also something that just unintentionally really good against Kagero as well, because if you end on a board with actually nothing on it, which probably won't happen because you're probably leaving intercepts up just in case, but in the case where you actually do leave a board with nothing up on it, if they go for a Dragon Newt, they don't get the power if they have nothing to retire. So that should just be something randomly that could come up. You clear your own board and they can't retire anything. Speaking of not being able to retire anything, Bluish Flames or Liberators. I honestly am considering putting this deck as, I think Bluish Flames right now are just a deck that can just play around the meta the best right now. Because Garmor deals with all the it deals with these other two clans as well as Kagero, and you can also tech against Link Joker by playing Monarch Sanctuary Alfred, the Fridge, and deal with unlock. So this deck just has access to everything right now. You have ways to deal with anti-retire, you have ways to deal with lock, and the deck is still very good at consistently putting up intercepts every turn, which I do think is very important for decks to do right now. Obviously, because this game, you can't guard, you need intercepts to protect yourself. This deck is probably the best deck at putting out vomiting intercepts out every turn, for the most part. And you just also have to have anti-retire wall and anti-lock, so very, very good deck, I think. I think this deck is definitely... Obviously, this deck didn't get any support this set, but I think it's up here just because it just plays so well into everything in the meta right now. So yeah, I think that's why this deck went from third best deck in this tier from before to best deck just because more things in the meta that it just kind of auto beats a lot. It just beats a lot of times. So yeah, that's why Liberators are here. Oh yeah. Obviously, yeah. The biggest problem is this deck doesn't draw PGs. This deck, this deck doesn't draw PGs, but Garmore can mitigate that because if they can never retire your intercepts to push you for more than 1 damage, they can never. They won't be. You'll still be ahead in damage, meaning you won't need the PGs as much. But obviously, you still not drawing PGs is still an issue. Like you've heard it from pretty much everyone. Golds have fake hands like 90% of the time. They don't draw PGs for shit. And now, finally, the new decks. So, the worst deck out of this set, by far, is Tetra Burst on Aqua Force. This deck is definitely nowhere near as good as these decks. This deck fucking sucks. Tetra Burst, if you just read the cards, you realize this deck isn't that good. Like, Tetra Burst is what? You draw a card, you get a crit? It's like Maelstrom, but you gotta pay for it. Like, I just don't think this is very good. I just don't think this deck is very, very good, like, at all whatsoever. You're doing the old Aqua Force. Like, if Tetra Burst wasn't a Legion, and you get the mechanic of Legion, Maelstrom's just better than it in every way, in my opinion, so... Definitely not the best. Definitely the loser of this set. No questions asked. I think most people also would consider this as the worst deck from the set, so yeah. And obviously this deck pretty much auto loses against Link Joker. That also kind of really sucks, so yeah. Next, Witches. They're definitely not bad tier, so they definitely don't go there. I think they're definitely here. I don't think they're an S tier. My biggest problem with this deck is I don't see it very often, and I don't own the cards myself, so I can't even playtest this, so this is all based off of theory crafting. It is around the range of here. Is it better than Regalia? I don't know. Is it like pretty good deck though? It probably is. It's around the range of it. I'll just put it ahead of it for now, I guess. The deck, the best thing about this deck compared to Regalia is that everything you play in the deck is witch name. Like all the old cards that are good are also witches. Valencia, Grappa, Chamomile, Melissa, Cider. Like all the cards you're already playing, you can play in the deck as well, and they're also on name now, which is even better. Mint lets you scale your lanes when you do your multi-attacks. Fennel lets you dig for PGs and extra intercepts to live. So the deck is very cohesive. It's just a very good. It's a deck that flows together really well. And since you do have the extra third grade 3 slot, you can tech unlockers in that slot if you're fearing Link Joker. Otherwise, you can play Angelica to just get better cards to your hand and then Legion them after. So the deck just has options to do things. So, and obviously, being able to have 2 sets of cameos means you can actually just push intercepts out every single turn if you need to from the soul, which is really, really good. So yeah, definitely a very good deck. I definitely think this deck has very high potential. Obviously, as I said earlier, I don't have the deck, so I can't try it. I don't think I've ever ran into someone who is a fully built, competent version of this deck. So there's also that. So yeah, in theory, it should be really good. I do think it's probably a pretty good deck, or should be a really good deck. Yeah, yeah, that is an issue too. The deck is random soul cards, but I think if you play like the Valencias and Grappas to get only clean cards in, more often than not you'll social the cards you want, and then as well as also just having Ciders be able to loop your important cards back into your soul. So I think it's honestly fine. I think Cider puts in enough work for the deck that you have enough ways to get through good cards into your soul. Next up, obviously you can see I'm just doing it from worst to best. So Link Joker. I actually don't think it's up here. As much as I'm like, as much as I say that the deck should have a way to play around Link Joker, I don't think the deck is actually up here. I think the deck is the very top of it here right now. The best way I put it, all the Kai clans, so Narukami, Kagero, and Link Joker are all high roll garbage decks. You either see your red triggers and you roll over your opponent, or you don't see a single red trigger and you just bend over and die. That is very much the exception with Link Joker as well. And obviously Lock is a very, very powerful mechanic in Zero, but there are cards that can unlock stuff, and Gold's being a very good deck, being able to unlock your cards is very good. Shadows having a way to play around it is very good. Seekers, obviously, they can tech for it, but they probably won't, or won't at the moment, so that's pretty good. But the fact that there are many ways to play around it, as well as all your skills costing either a lot of counterblasts or costing cards out of your hand is a problem, because this deck, again, does need to see draw triggers to pay for all this cost. The deck doesn't inherently plus at all whatsoever. So yeah, very powerful when it gets go off. The deck is absolutely miserable to play when you don't see enough red triggers. Lock being a mechanic that does stop your opponent playing the game does help that a bit, because if you slow them down, you'll get like the extra turn or two to like regenerate your cards to keep their stuff locked and just slowly grind out from there. But I definitely don't think this deck is as good as the decks that I'm gonna put in S tier. As well as Kagero and Fish also have ways to play around it. Dragonute is just a one card play around it, because you can do 2 damage, kill their front row, and not commit any of your front row of your own. And Fish just has the Victoria that bounces cards to lock, things that can bounce lock cards back to your hand, so they don't have to deal with lock either. So yeah. So this is it for the A tier. So obviously these 2 decks are in S tier. So I'll do Kagero first. I do think Kagero is actually worse than Fish, surprisingly, right? But yeah, like I said earlier, this deck is high roll garbage. Very, very, very high roll garbage. This is the deck I've tested the most out of this set, and I can confidently say that this deck is good when it works. A little bit overhyped in my opinion, but it is a very high rolly deck. But the payoff is definitely there. Yes, the payoff is there when you do get to see like a few draws a draw or 2 like every turn. So yeah. Payoff is there. Dragonute is an absolutely busted card. The card is actually insane how good it is. CB2 Persona Disco like isn't a cost, because you have stuff like 6 targets to begin with, and you have the Novell to tutor the Great to your hand. Or obviously you just hold them in your hand as well. So you get to nuke the front row or kill some backwards sometimes. You do them a damage that ignores triggers, and then your Vanguard just also scales to bajillion power. Like that, like Dragonute existing makes Kagero a very good deck right now. Dragonute is definitely the hard carry of the clan right at the moment. So yeah, Kagero is here because Dragonute is very powerful card, pretty much. Big scary blue dragon pings you for 1, kills your front row and kills you. Like this deck has the highest kill. This deck is the best at killing you at the moment, because when you're at 4, it is a guaranteed triple check. No triggers can bullshit your way up triple check when you're at 4 damage. They clear your front row. If they can make 2 16k columns on the rear, you just get pushed to 5 with the ping, and then you just eat 3 to the face. I will say this deck does get fucked by Garmor, so that there is that. But obviously, if you want to play around Garmor, you can play Dragonic Overlord, which I think you should be playing the deck, or Dote. Dote also isn't a retire, so yeah. You have ways to play around your counter, but Garmor absolutely makes Dragonute cry as a card too. So it's not like the card has no play arounds. Garmor is a play around it. And then obviously early in the game when you don't, or when you're on Dragonute and you point down the point to split the 3/3s, you have nothing to retire. So you want to hold the things as well. So that's also a pseudo way to play around the Dragonute. So very powerful card, but you have ways to play around it. And finally we have Fishies. If you're actually asking, if Kagero did have a newt, they'd be somewhere here, probably. If they didn't have Dragonute. Dragonute is single-handedly carrying this deck right now. Fish, I definitely think it's better than Kagero. Is it better than Seekers though? Honestly, I think these decks are around the same power level. And I was gonna put it ahead of Seekers. Alright, so Fish are fucking beyond it. I fucking hate this deck. Let's get that out of the way. I fucking cannot stand playing against this deck. I have played against it, and I have gotten PG'd 7 times in 1 game by Fish. That isn't an exaggeration. I've gotten PG'd 7 times in 1 game. So what does this deck have that makes it so good? You draw infinite PGs pretty much. If your opponent cannot knock 3 PGs out, you have 1 PG, you have 3 PGs. If I just assume you don't have the 4th one. If your deck cannot knock the 3 PGs out of hand, they will just legion the PGs, the 2 PGs they did use back into the deck, and then use the Nemule, I think, the fish that gets the crit, the one that gets a crit. They legion those back. They bounce. They play that 1 PG down. They bounce that 1 PG back and search the 2 board, and wow, they're back at 3 PGs again. Or if they just had all 4 to begin with, you knock the 3 out of their hand. They play it down and they bounce. They legion the 3 back in, and then they redraw those. They redraw 2 more. They're back at 3 PGs in hand. So this deck is very good at grabbing PGs. One of your intercepts just also happens to have resist, meaning it can't be locked, it can't be retired unless it's full board retire. And yeah, like no Nemule, yeah, whatever her name is. You draw a bunch of PGs. You have resist intercepts. You have ways to clone your intercept. Those resist intercepts. You have ways to clone intercepts. Period. You have very easy ways to fill drop for legions. So you're never crutched for filling drop for legions. You have Soul Blast 2 draw 1 or Soul Blast 2 counter charge 2 with those 5K grade 1. So it's just a deck that's very efficient at not dying. Just think, they also have Roan too. I forgot about Roan. They also have Roan. Roan got buffed for no reason as well. They also worked on Vanguard now, but Roan can also clone your PGs. The best way to put the reason, like obviously you think about like wow, they don't die, but they can't kill you either, right? That is true. That is their biggest downside. They don't kill you. But you also have to think about it this way: the decks that do try to kill you spend an absurd amount of resources to try and kill you. Think about it this way: Seekers spend what, like 4 counterblasts when you're at 5 to get 3 PG checks? What does Fish do? So Soul Blast 1, counterblast 2. Wow, I have 2 more PGs in my hand now. And the counterblast isn't even a fucking resource in the deck because you have the countercharger. So other decks are pouring in resources to try to kill you, while you are putting in the bare minimum to grab the stuff to not die. So you like the fact that this deck can't kill you, or they won't check you for more than like 1, maybe 2 PGs when you're at 5 isn't an issue, because if you just slowly, if you never die, you will kill them eventually. So yeah, the Nemule getting crit also gets up. The Nemule will help you just push for damage, and then obviously Legion back heals is also a thing. Legion back heals, flip your heals. Yeah, like the deck has ways to end games. Like they have the Rate as a restander. They can play Eternal Pacifica to like restand a rear, and like they have ways to end the game as well. But realistically speaking, they're never checking for more than 2 PGs at 5. And like every other deck here can check for like 3 PGs at 5, 3 to 4 PGs at 5 if they want to. So yeah, that's it for the tier list. Tell me what you guys think about it down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to all the good stuff. So again, you can check me out on Twitch if you want to. Link is also down below in the description. And that's it for this, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.